running backs got more fantasy points in 2017 than ever before. So if you're preparing for your 2018 fantasy football draft, you'll need to stay tuned while we talk about the most important position in fantasy football, and it's all coming up next. Hi, I'm Gary Kurtzman.
And I'm Eric Lee, and we are the Fantasy Football Consultants. There is no more important show than today, Gary, because we get to talk about running backs, and running backs will dominate the first round of your draft.
Absolutely. They are the most important position. They're more important than ever before. And Eric, it just seems like when you kick off the fantasy football draft, it always starts with a running back.
And let's talk about our top 4 running backs. Todd Gurley, followed by Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, and Zeke Elliott. Todd Gurley, Gary, I love the Rams team this year. As the Rams go, so does Todd Gurley. And more importantly than the Rams, Sean McVay's scheme of the conservative. Only 6 teams ran the ball at a higher percentage plays than the Rams. He's heavily involved in the running game and the dump-off passes, and he gets a lot of receptions. And that is the trait of these 4-tier running backs. They're all bell cow. They all get a majority of the carries. They all are involved in the passing game, and they're all goal line backs.
Absolutely. And we saw that last year with Todd Gurley. It was sort of not a resurgence for him because it was only his second year in the NFL, but everybody had expected him to be that powerful bell cow running back. In his first year, because it wasn't Todd McVay's offense, he didn't show it. But in his second year, Eric, he just came alive and showed us what he could really be.
Yes, and David and Le'Veon Bell is our number 2 running back. Wow. The guy is incredible because he gets so many opportunities. The only opportunity, the reason why he's not quite on number 1 is he doesn't get the touchdown looks. Only 11 last year. Todd Gurley had 19, but boy is he involved in the offense, and you gotta love that. In the air, on the ground, he's got more opportunities than any other running back.
Does it all.
And number 3 on our list, David Johnson. Now go back in your memory a little bit. David Johnson was the consensus number 1 pick last year, before, of course, he had the season-ending injury in game 1. That was to his wrist, though, folks. He's fully recovered. The injury isn't an issue. The bigger issue, Gary, for me, is Bruce Arians is gone. He was innovative in getting him into the offense a lot, and they got a new scheme. We're not sure of his role, so we've slotted him down in number 3. He'll be great, but will he be as great as Gurley and Bell? We know we have some doubts. And number 4. Let's talk about the Cowboys' offensive line. That's how good they are. And they're the best in the NFL. And Elliott runs behind him. He will likely lead the league in rushing. The problem is he will not get as many of the passing yards as any of the other 3. And Tavon Austin, they recently signed. It's not likely to go greatly higher. So we had him slotted at number 4. That's our top tier. Gurley, Bell, Johnson, and Elliott.
Absolutely, and that segues nicely into tier 2. So here are the next tier of running backs, and let me tell you, folks, if you don't pick in the top 4 or maybe 5 in your draft, one of these running backs is very likely to be yours, and we would certainly, at Fantasy Football Consultants, recommend you pick up one of these. Who are the tier 2 running backs? Well, it's a small tier. It's Alvin Kamara, New Orleans, Kareem Hunt, KC, and Saquon Barkley of the New York Giants. So just 3 running backs. What do they all have in common? Well, they're all bell cow running backs, meaning they're all on the field for first down, second down, third down, and they all get the goal line touches. Folks, there's only 9 or 10 of those running backs in the entire NFL. That is the reason more than anything else why running backs are, especially top running backs, are so incredibly valuable. And by the time you get through the end of the second tier, there just aren't many left. That's why tier 2 is so important. Very briefly, who are we talking about? Let's start with Alvin Kamara. Eric, you talked about it earlier, didn't you? It's not just running the ball anymore. It's catching passes too.
No one does it better than Alvin Kamara.
No one does it better than Alvin Kamara. He is the answer to the trivia question, who led the NFL at the running back position in receptions and in yards last year? It was Alvin Kamara, and he didn't even start. He didn't even start for the New Orleans Saints. He started the season on the bench, didn't get in until game 3 or 4, and yet he's still with the leagues in receptions and yards. Plus, he obviously gets touches rushing as well. So the bottom line is, what can you expect from him? Probably about 10 rushes a game, but he gets 8 or 9 targets a game. That puts total touches up at least close with those tier running backs. And let me tell you, he's so explosive, Eric. It's just almost unbelievable watching him play. And that's why he heads our top tier 2.
And Mark Ingram being suspended for the first 4 weeks. So don't expect Kamara to take over his role, but maybe they give him a few more carries than they otherwise would have.
Maybe. I mean, Kamara would have been on the field for all the third down plays anyway. So that doesn't help him. But you're right. He may. Now, Sean McVay has said, look, Kamara's a relatively small guy. We don't want to increase his workload too much. And that's probably true. But Eric, you're right. He's probably going to get an extra couple of carries in the first 4 weeks. And hey, that can only help his projections and help his ranking. Finishing off tier 2, we got Kareem Hunt. And here's another one of these. He managed to be in the top 10 in receptions and yards for running backs. And you couple that with the NFL's rushing leader last year. Eric, Kareem Hunt can do it all. He can do it all well. And I'll tell you what, huge upside opportunity for Kareem Hunt, because the only reason why this guy can't crack the top tier and maybe even compete for the number 1 spot is that he didn't get the goal line looks last year. But make no mistake, it wasn't because they were handing it off to somebody else. It was because Alex Smith would do his best Aaron Rodgers imitation and throw at the 1-yard line or the 2-yard line. KC did that more than any other team except, Green Bay. So
don't think Pat Mahomes will do that?
I don't know that he will, but Pat Mahomes is a rookie. I don't know that you trust him nearly as much. And if they give Kareem Hunt those goal line carries, man, he could really compete for the number 1 running back slot.
Sell crazy someplace else. We're all stocked up here.
Folks, I don't think that's crazy at all. Saquon Barkley is a rookie. It's hard to know what to expect from him, but man, he was obviously terrific in college. He's the number 2 pick. The reason why he cracks the top tier, it's very simple. Because A, he can do it all, and B, the New York Giants desperately need a running back to feature in their offense, because even when they don't have a good running back, they still feature the running back position in their offense. We saw that last year. We saw that the year before. No highlight reel running back, no big name running back. They got Eli Manning back there, and yet he was handing it off, 50% of the time. If they come even close to that with Saquon Barkley, this guy is going to exceed 1,200 yards rushing, plus he catches passes. He's the only guy big enough and nimble enough to carry at the goal line. Eric, he's their guy. It's a terrific opportunity.
Yeah, we'll see. You worry a little bit about how good will the Giants team be, they invested a lot in Saquon Barkley with
$31.2 million. 4th highest paid running back in 2018, by the way.
Show me the money.
All right, let's go to our tier 3. We'll put that up on the screen. They are, real quickly, Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Devontae Freeman, Jerick McKinnon, and rounding out the list, Jordan Howard. Gary, we'll start with the top guy in this tier, Melvin Gordon. And this is what I think his theme song should be.
Every place you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
This guy, he has in 3 straight years has not gotten over 4 yards a carry. But the Chargers don't care. They just keep feeding him the ball, and he continues to be more and more successful. In each of those 3 years, he's increased his number of total rushing yards, total receiving yards, and receptions. So what else can you ask? So we have him on our list. Austin Eckler is back there as well. May steal some of his receiving yards, but we're still very confident with Melvin Gordon. And right behind Melvin Gordon is big Leonard Fournette. If there's any team that is committed to running the ball, that is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Absolutely.
They have improved their offensive line, so expect a full dose of Leonard Fournette.
But they still have Blake Bortles back there at QB, so, I think we all understand where they're committed to running.
Committed to running. And every now and then, they ask Bortles to throw the ball, and then he decides to run it instead. So even he runs the ball.
There you go.
All right, so the next 2 backs are two young backs, Gary, which is very interesting. Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey, and they couldn't be more different. Dalvin Cook had a very short year in his rookie year, was doing great in the first 4 weeks, 89 yards a game rushing, but that's where his focus is going to be, on the ground, on a very good Minnesota team, where McCaffrey's focus is in the air. He had 80 receptions last year. He's going to be, he's someone that, quite honestly, I don't expect him to be much higher on this list, but boy, I am almost certain he won't be much lower. Really high floor with him because you know he'll be involved.
Absolutely.
And this is a 0.5 PPR list that we're doing. Finally, rounding off our last tier, the two last running backs we have are Jerick McKinnon and Jordan Howard. And again, very different backs. McKinnon is going to try. I don't know what you think their chances are as a 49er fan for him to be the every down back. I can guarantee you he will get the receptions and the short dump off passes, and he'll get a lot of carries. But will he be the goal line back? What's your prediction?
Well, I think he has to be, because the Niners don't have anybody else. His competition is Matt Breida, and Matt Breida actually is smaller and weighs less than McKinnon does, right? So the reality is they brought him in to be the every down back. He's never done that before. Can he sustain a full season? Folks, we'll find out.
Jordan Howard will definitely be the goal line back, and he'll get a lot of the carries, but he will be non-existent in the passing game. Terrible receiver, and they got Tariq Cohen for that. And that rounds out our third tier. Let's go to the fourth tier.
So let's go to the fourth tier, and so the fourth tier. Let's briefly name the running backs. You can see them on the screen: Joe Mixon, Kenyon Drake, Alex Collins, Derrick Henry, Darius Geis, Mark Ingram, Rashad Penny, Jay Ajayi, LaShawn McCoy. There's Shady, and Ronald Jones II.
Hold on a minute. I think Shady just called in.
I tell you, I don't get no respect. No respect at all.
Well, you know what? Shady is a fantastic talent. I don't know that I can say the same about the talent around him. But let me tell you something. Without going into individually, because we're now down to the tier 4 running back. So, Eric, these are the guys that are drafted, maybe end of the third round and then into the fourth, beginning of the fifth. Let me say this. There are two reasons why these running backs are in tier 4. They either, A, timeshare. And the NFL and fantasy football is a land of the opportunity. And if you have timeshare, you just simply have less opportunity. So all these guys timeshare, and thus they're capped at 15 rushes a game at most. Some of the guys will probably get closer to 10, or they're rookies. And, Saquon Barkley obviously cracked into tier 2, but there's no Saquon Barkley-like talent. Darius Geis, Rashad Penny, right? Ronald Jones III, these guys are talented, but, if you're in a timeshare and you're a rookie and you don't have quite the talent, you're looking at tier 4.
Suffice it to say, you hope that if you're picking from this tier, this is your second running back, not your first running back.
Certainly your second running back. If you missed out on all the tier 1 and tier 2 running backs, you really may regret that.
And tier 3.
And if you missed out tier 3 too, then you can probably stop watching this video. And you mentioned Shady McCoy, just really briefly. He may be higher on some people's lists, but folks, I wouldn't trust him. Not because of the lack of talent, but because I wouldn't trust A.J. McCarron or Josh Allen, because the quarterback situation is just a mess. And Josh Allen is not yet. He comes out of UCLA. He's not yet ready for the NFL. A.J. McCarron is a league-wide backup quarterback. So the safeties are going to be coming up. They're going to be stuff in the box. Even Kelvin Benjamin didn't show nearly of what they had expected him to show last year. So it's not like they have a good wide receiving core either. Bottom line is, he's a tier 4 running back.
All right, so we quickly went through our top 24. Please go online at fantasyfootballconsultants.net to check out our player ratings as we get closer to the season. They'll be adjusted as news information comes out. And, of course, we go a lot deeper than the 24. You can see our top 50. So, until then, we ask that you like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that red button and then the bell icon to be notified on all our videos, because we have so many coming out. And until our next video, we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Just when you think this show is terrible, something wonderful happens.
What?
It ends.